Hello and welcome to another of our recurring webinars partnered with the Google for Education team on G Suite Enterprise for Education. We're going to get you rolling here. We've got the short link for the slide deck up on the screen here for you. It is ampd.it/advanced-MDM. That's going to be repeated in the top right corner of almost all the slides in the deck. So if you're joining us or you missed this, you will be able to find it there. And I'm sure Devin, who's with us from the Google for Education team, can make sure that's available in the chat so that everyone has it as well. And welcome again. Just to let everyone know, my name's Tom Woods from Amplified IT. I'm our Google for Education training lead. And Amplified IT, we're a technical consultancy company. And we're based out of Norfolk, Virginia, but we work with schools and school districts and higher education institutions all across North America. So everyone from small independent schools all the way up to 10 of the 15 largest districts in North America, as well as higher ed institutions. And we work with the IT teams predominantly, hopefully a lot of folks like yourself, on the educational best practices and best use cases of G Suite for Education to help promote success at the point of instruction for teachers and students, and for that district office staff that use G Suite as well behind the scenes. We've worked with almost 5,000 different schools and school districts in North America and work very closely in partnership with the Google for Education team and partnering with them today on these sessions as well. And Amplified IT, real quick, we can offer you all sorts of help and guidance on your Google for Education journey, from our consultancy services like our Google for Education audit to getting migrations done from legacy systems, support packages if you need extra help and guidance, provisioning for creating users, all sorts of pieces like that. And we also have my team that does technical PD and training. We've got certifications like our Amplified Admin certifications. And we also have a development team that makes small, inexpensive, lightweight tools to help you manage and administer your G Suite environment. All right, so let's get rolling. Today's agenda, and again, slides and the website for registration for these webinars is repeated up there in the top right corner. That website will take you back to any of the previous events that have happened so that you can access the recordings. And if you haven't yet, you could also go to that site to register for the last webinar that's happening on Thursday this week. Today's agenda, we're going to look at advanced mobile device management features that Enterprise for Education brings to the table. We're going to look at Windows 10 management, which is something very new and part of the feature set of Enterprise for Education. And then we'll make sure we have time at the end for questions and answers from yourselves in the crowd as well. So let's take a look here. Advanced MDM with G Suite Enterprise for Education. What does this bring us? So MDM has been built into the admin console pretty much since day one. Regular G Suite for Education has definitely elements of basic and advanced mobile device management. And that's something that some schools and districts choose to take a look at and utilize. Adding Enterprise for Education licensing to your domain then adds these pieces here as additional or more quote unquote advanced elements to mobile device management. One of the first ones, and we're going to take a look at it real quick here, and we're going to try to demo things where we can today, is, let me get up my admin console here, is device audits and alerts. So this is something new. We're going to go here. I'll make this a little bit larger. We're going to go to the reports section. And on the reports page, we have the audit log section here, where you're already maybe familiar with the admin audit log, the drive audit log, pieces like that. Having Enterprise adds this devices section to the audit log. So this is a new category. When you have Enterprise, this will be here. And this is your ability to track and view everything that's going on with those mobile devices, whether they be iOS or Android potentially. Also, we're getting fed in here elements of Windows management and even managed browsers. So really treating all devices in general in this window. But having this log as part of Enterprise, we can use this log. We can filter it in lots of different ways. So we can take a look at particular events that may be happening with these devices. And you can see everything from suspicious activity to compromised devices to just devices doing their updates and things like that. If we wanted to look at a particular property of device updates, we could filter the list and then take a look through that and make some decisions. We can export or download this list as a CSV and take a look at it that way. Also, a great feature here, once we've selected some criteria using the filters at the top, if we want to monitor that particular set of criteria on an ongoing or go forward basis, once that's set here at the top, we can then create a quick alert and reporting rule here. So in this case, it's devices being updated, which isn't super exciting, but if this is something we wanted to track, we could give this a name. We could have this email all super admins in the domain in the admin console if we wanted to, or more likely than not, we could select other users here from a list and make sure that they receive these notifications going forward whenever that particular criteria is met. Something like the suspicious activity one for sure would be a great choice here rather than device OS updates. I knew that would come up on the list because I can see it here on the list and the filter would work, but obviously something like suspicious activity and otherwise would work really well there. There's lots of other filterable fields here, from looking at the unique device IDs to the serial numbers to just the model and types, the OS version, some of the policy settings you can put on mobile devices and things like that. So we can see here who's using these devices, who's syncing to these devices, when they're doing that, at what times, and that's their G Suite account being synchronized and activated on that device, and the device is checking policy settings, potentially back here in the admin console if we're applying any. So that's device audits and alerts. One of the other pieces that gets added is a unique feature called device management rules. So we're going to go back and we'll take a look at that one too, because it's fairly easy. We're going to go back to the main page here. And we're going to go down here to rules. And this rules area with this blue icon is the home of the previous older data loss prevention rules for Drive, which are now in a new location. But having Enterprise is going to add this other tile in here called device management rules. And upon entering that, this is an area where we can create a rule here to have automatic actions happen, activities happen. So you can see we could start blank, but there's some pre-configured templates here, popular templates like, I want to block the G Suite account from syncing on that device if they get their screen unlock wrong multiple times in a row. I want to perform potentially an entire factory device wipe on suspicious event or criteria. One down here for auto-approving new devices coming into the organization and things like that. If we were to look at this block account on multiple failed screen unlocks, we can come up, we can give this a bit different name, and then we can take a look here at some of the pieces at work. We've got conditions that have to be met. And we can see here, right now we're configuring this for Android in the template. We could change that. It's based off of failed screen unlocks. And if they're more than 5 or 3 or 6 or whatever we would want to put here, that's the criteria that would have to be met. Up at the top for users, we could be specific here. We could apply this to a particular OU of users. Maybe that's superintendents or our group of principals. We could use a Google group or an OU, and then we could also stack those up and exempt a particular Google group so that it's an OU, but people in this Google group are exempt if we needed to do that. So we could target this at particular users. And then down here under actions, when that criteria is met, again, what do we want to have happen? And it's not just a matter of notification with this kind of rule, and we can do that. We can email all the super admins is currently the only choice there. But then we've got the actual device management actions that can happen. So we can block the mobile device, which more or less means the user cannot use their G Suite account on that mobile device. We're really blocking the G Suite account from syncing back to the domain, to the admin console. Or we can perform that full factory wipe. If they get this wrong 5 times, then boom, the device is factory wiped to protect district or organization data and things like that. Maybe it's in the hands of a bad actor, and we want to wipe that at that threshold. So that's what those would look like for the rules for device management rules. I'm just going to go back to our slides here. Other pieces that this adds, not so easily demonstrated today, but an ability to do bulk enrollment for company-owned devices for Android with a zero-touch system. So there are resellers, distributors out there that can provide to you Zero touch devices, which is different than just walking into a Staples or a Best Buy and buying a device. And those devices then get purchased from there. You get a special portal you can access. And those devices can be managed through that zero touch portal and can be enrolled into the admin console without you having to touch those devices, have them in your hands first, maybe before they're direct shipped to locations or schools or sites and things like that. Another feature is company-owned iOS devices. So again, taking that company-owned aspect of signifying that these devices aren't personal, they're purchased by the school, the district, the organization, and we're going to bring them into the admin console. And then we can address those devices specifically where without company-owned, we're really applying user-based settings for mobile device management. And it's a really hard thing to do because that's going to encompass any device someone would sign into, including their personal cell phone or personal device. Company-owned allows us a way to bring those devices in with a CSV import or one by one and address those devices directly without having that by user issue. Distributing device certificates is the last point there. Let's say if we've got some Android tablets or something like that, your network may require certain certificates to connect to and participate on that network. We can centrally hear from the admin console through the device policy application that would run on that Android device upon bringing it in and making it company owned, be able to distribute that certificate to those devices. And then once on there, they would be able to connect to whatever private network that requires certificates that you're running. There's a great, all these slides today pretty much have links at the bottom to take you to the Google support pages and give you more information on that if you're looking to find that. All right, so we're going to jump into the Windows 10 management piece. So again, one of the other unsung features of Enterprise for Education is now the ability to fully, in a lot of ways, manage your Windows 10 devices here in the admin console. So we're talking single pane of glass, being able to manage your Chrome OS devices. Possibly you're doing managed browsers just with Chrome, and then actually managing the full Windows 10 device all in one place here in the admin console. So unifying that is sort of the key message here and what we're really looking for. So what this gives us with Enterprise for Education are a lot of different settings management features and then device management features for Windows 10. I'm going to take you through a few of these that are kind of easy to demonstrate today. The more info link there at the bottom is really key. It's a really good support page here laid out by Google where all of these things are hyperlinks. So if you're like, well, how do I enable BitLocker encryption from the console for Windows 10? That'll take you to a sub page and explain how to do that. So I would really recommend following that more info link if you really want to dive into these. We're going to look at a few of these around settings management. So I'm going to jump back over to the console. And where the Windows 10 management starts is here under devices. So there'd be an element of getting these Windows machines set up, signing into them with an enterprise licensed account, maybe a super admin account or a service account that you've assigned an enterprise license to. And when all those steps are followed, those Windows 10 machines are going to join the admin console here and be listed here. And I think we probably have a few examples of Windows 10 machines already here in the sample domain. That's what it's going to look like. They're going to bring them in, and then you're going to be able to have visibility and management of them here. Once that fact is done, when we're talking settings management, we come over here under devices to the settings menu. And if we drop that out, we see Windows settings. And we're going to click on that. We're just going to go through all these cards here so you can kind of see what's being offered here and what you're going to be able to do. First of all, there's just a flat out choice to enable Windows device management. Do we want to do this for those managed machines or not? And of course, that could be disabled or turned off. And then we've got account settings here. So now put your brain in the Windows world. We're not talking Chromebooks or anything like that. This is something new for the admin console. We can enable and take a look at what administrative privileges a user has when they sign into that Windows 10 device. Are they going to be a standard user in Windows? Are they going to be put into the local administrators group in Windows? We can state that here, make that different per the types of users. Maybe students go in as standard users, but people from our IT department perhaps then are upgraded to being local administrators over Windows 10 when they're on those machines. and that is done there. We can also exempt and put in some other factors here down at the bottom to make sure that that's being configured the way we want. So, you can think of all these things we're going to look at here as possible alternatives to using group policies and Active Directory to manage the Windows machines, maybe even a supplementary, depending on the types of things you're doing. You could do some management here from the admin console. Maybe certain things still have to happen on the Active Directory side if you're still pretty heavy into your Active Directory environment. The next card we're going to look at here is the Windows Update settings. And this is controlling Windows updates, as it says. So this one's very interesting. Again, you might still have a fairly large fleet of Windows devices. We know high schools, still a lot of labs. Elementary, maybe in middle, starting to really pull back on the number of Windows machines, but there could be a lab or two or a handful of machines at the back of every classroom on a counter or something like that. So being able to maybe move away from the cost and the complexity of an Active Directory environment, manage those individual Windows workstations through here, manage the updates, things like that could be really beneficial. So this is enabling Windows Update. Do we want to accept application updates like Microsoft Office updates and things like that? And then how is the Windows Update process going to work? Are we going to notify people before updates are available to download? Are we going to automatically install them and then give users kind of this 7-day window to kind of select their own restart time? And after 7 days, the restart will happen whether they like it or not. Do we want to just automatically install them in the background and then restart during inactive hours? And you can take a peek down below and see where active hours can be defined. So then the restart would happen in the inactive hours, I should say, outside of that. And auto install and force restart. And then that really keeps the user, you can see here, the Windows Update control panel in Windows is basically just read-only. They have no say to change any settings or modify anything. And that's a little more forceful option. We've got the active hours here, like we said, so that we know the updates are going to happen outside of that. If these are labs of machines and you want to make sure that this isn't happening during school time and putting undue stress on your Wi-Fi in that building, in that school, your WAN connections between schools, your internet pipe, if that goes out centrally from your district office, we can make sure this happens overnight and things like that. There's a great feature here to connect these Windows 10 workstations to a WSUS server that maybe you're running internally on your network back at your data center, rather than everybody going out to the internet, taxing your internet pipe. You're going to have an internal distribution model through WSUS servers, and you can configure that here. We've got update frequencies, how many hours in between these individual machines checking for updates, if they're going to the SUS or going to the internet. And then quality updates. Quality updates are the iterative updates that Microsoft pushes monthly. Those aren't typically the operating system updates, but those are the monthly security patches on Update Tuesday and things like that, and you can configure how those are dealt with. I'm going to collapse this card, and what did we have left? BitLocker settings. If you're using BitLocker on the hard drives of those devices, then there's settings there to configure that. And then the custom box is a piece here where OMA, URI, custom pieces can be put in and injected down to those machines and things like that. So that's there for you as well. All right. To take a look, that was pretty much everything on the left. To take a look at device management, wiping data from a device, getting details about managed devices, signing users out of their account, things like that. If we jump back over here to our endpoint or devices list for Windows 10, and we take a look at maybe a particular sample Windows 10 machine here, we can see there's lots of information here that we can get from the unique device ID, when it last synced, is this machine even being used, or is it maybe offline or not being used by anyone? Could provide you with some information on how much the lab or things like that is getting used. Who was the user that signed into that machine and brought it here into the console and things like that. But more importantly, over here on the side, signing the user out of Windows 10. Deleting the device here from the admin console, taking a look at audit info, which is going to bring us back over here to the device log that we were at a few minutes earlier and focus on that particular Windows device and possibly all the different users that have been signing into it and syncing with it. In this case, it's just been Carl, but we get the idea there of how and where that information would come from. So auditing it, taking a look at the logs, all that stuff can be done. Removing the device from management, from the admin console was one of the choices there. And again, that more info link is going to take you to the Google support page, which has a lot of great information there as well. So the last missing piece here, and as we saw, Carl was signed into that Windows 10 machine, and we're talking about signing someone out and what happens and how does that work? Well, if you're scratching your head a bit thinking, well, how does this affect my Active Directory users and my student accounts in Active Directory and how they're signed into the machine? A large portion of this is revolving around the idea and concept that they're signing into Windows 10 using their G Suite account. So the Google credential provider for Windows, GCPW, because we love acronyms, is a tool that you can install on your Windows machines in your Windows image. And that's been out for a little while now. It's not necessarily dependent on enterprise. If you want to take GCPW, put it on some Windows 10 standalone machines in a couple classrooms and have students and people sign in with their G Suite accounts, you could do that. But in order to manage that Windows 10 device, see its OS versions, manage Windows updates, do all those things we just looked at in the console, that's where you need Enterprise for Education licensing. And that allows you to bring in that Windows 10 machine. And putting GCPW, it's going to look like this screenshot here, where you can sign in using your G Suite credentials. So that's pretty brilliant. Again, taking that step towards where some of you might be that we don't maybe use Active Directory as much as we had in the past. We use mostly Chrome devices. We have some labs and some odd numbers of Windows machines. Maybe we don't need to maintain and have that Active Directory system so much anymore, and we could be signing into these Windows 10 machines with G Suite. So that can be used in conjunction with Enterprise Windows 10 device management, or as I say in the last bullet there, by itself. If you're just, after today, interested in playing around with Windows 10 sign-in with G Suite, you can track down that tool and install it. And the link there will take you to the page with more information on GCPW. All right. And we're going to hit up some of these questions now. Devin's been kind enough to be passing some of these through. There's quite a lot. I'll do my best to answer them. We've got some other people on our support team that have done a lot more testing on Windows 10 management with G Suite. So we've got some experts on hand after today if you're looking to have more questions answered. But I'll do my best here with what I know. Ernesto's asking, would I need to purchase Windows 10 licenses for the MDM component? I think if I understand the question, Ernesto, all Microsoft's licensing policies would still apply. If you're going to have a desktop or a laptop and put Windows 10 on it, you need to purchase that Windows 10 license. It's not that Google's providing that to you in any way, shape, or form, and they are not managing Windows 10 licenses at all. In this case, we're just managing the device itself. So you'd want to make sure you're purchasing those legally and appropriately. Paul's asking, are these features added with our Chrome Enterprise upgrade that we use with our Chromebooks? So no, Paul, the Chrome Enterprise upgrade is just the new name for the management license for your Chrome devices. That allows you to see that Chrome OS device in the console like we've been doing for 8, 9, 10 years here, manage it all the ways we do with Chrome device settings and the like. This is totally separate from that. The Chrome upgrade license is not gaining you anything to do with Windows 10, and that is not Enterprise for Education in any way, shape, or form either. That's just your standard Chrome device license. Shauna's asking here, can we use it to RDP into a Windows device like we use the Chrome Remote Desktop on Chromebooks? Shauna, not yet to my knowledge. That may be a really cool feature. I'm sure Devin can take that down as feedback, and whether the team's working on that already, I'm not sure. But yeah, if you're looking at this list of Windows 10 devices in the admin console, it'd be really cool to click something and invoke a remote management to see the screen and control it or do something like that. I think that would be awesome too. It's a great idea, but doesn't exist to my knowledge right now. Bryce is asking, does adding Windows 10 devices also require a Google management license like with Chromebooks? No. So as long as you have Enterprise for Education licensing, you are able to bring in whatever number of Windows 10 devices that you see fit into the admin console for management. So that's pretty open-ended there for you. Let's see here. Ali, do you have to onboard Windows 10 devices to make this work. Yeah, Ali, there's too much to kind of cover today. If you go to those support pages, they'll begin to walk you through it. I believe there's a couple options you can, on the Microsoft side of the house, inject into that Windows 10 machine, maybe through GPOs or otherwise, the things it needs to register itself up to the admin console. And let's imagine you're not using GCPW to sign in with G Suite accounts at all. That would kind of be your method to register them to the admin console. The support pages will take you through that. Alternatively, if you're installing GCPW onto that Windows 10 machine, if you first sign in with an enterprise account, in other words, your super admin account or any service account that has an Enterprise for Education license applied to it in the console, that will invoke bringing that machine into the admin console to be managed in the same way. If you were to sign into it with a standard G Suite for Education account that did not have an enterprise license, you're signing into Windows 10, but it's not going to bring the machine in for management. That's kind of the key trick there, is to use an enterprise account on day one. But then after that, anybody can sign into Windows 10 using GCPW. They don't have to have an enterprise license by any means. Again, that tool can be used separately. And I think this is Buster's question. Do we need to have an enterprise license, Enterprise for Education license, for each Windows user? Answer is no. And I think I pretty much just said that. But again, the GCPW tool for just signing into Windows 10 with G Suite doesn't need any licensing. Any G Suite account could be used to sign in to Windows. If you want to manage that machine, you've got to get it to the console, sign in first time with an enterprise licensed account, or from the Microsoft side, from the Windows side, do the right things to that machine to get it to enroll itself into the console. And that's all on the support page. John's asking, does all this work in addition to group policies? What is the order of precedence? John, that's a fantastic question. I don't know the exact answer to that. There may, in some of the support pages, be one of those kind of flow charts that kind of shows the precedence and order of application of GPOs versus what we set here in the console. And for sure, this can be run in a hybrid environment. This is not saying that you're abandoning your Active Directory and group policy management on the Microsoft side altogether. And those two, I believe, can coexist. If you're telling the machine to do something in GPOs with Windows updates, I'm not sure how that would work or conflict with the update settings here in the admin console for those managed Windows machines. I'm feeling like the answer is going to be kind of one or the other. The hybrid might be difficult depending. Obviously, you could still push MSI applications to those Windows machines, and that's going to be a needed thing possibly. I just would probably stay away from intentionally overlapping on things like Windows updates and things like that. Would be my best answer. And sorry if I can't offer you more than that right now. Criselda is asking, Windows settings could be pushed even when the device is not at the campus. Correct. Yeah, so maybe the benefit here is, let's say your Windows laptops, they're all good when they're on your network and on your LAN in the schools, and your GPOs and Active Directory stuff can get to them. If, especially now with remote learning, students are taking those laptops home, you probably can't enforce any new settings, push any new policies, and do the things you need to do without VPNs and all that wonderful stuff. The benefit then to this with managing them with G Suite is we're managing them from the cloud. Those Windows machines just need to be on the internet, and they're going to get this kind of information from the admin console and these kind of directions. So that would be definitely a benefit or improvement to the classic legacy way of managing them with GPOs. Got time maybe for one more question. Let me see what we have here. If you log in with the Google login, what about map drives to the network and server from Kent? Will you still need to log into AD? Yeah, I think that's something you'd want to think through and plan through, Kent. To my knowledge, you're signing in with your G Suite account. So anything that would have been assigned at a user level through Active Directory and GPOs, like mapping a network drive to something, isn't going to happen. Maybe you could do something at a Windows device level and have a predetermined map drive. I've been out of Windows for a while, but I'm not sure if that's possible or not, that it would be kind of user agnostic and always map a drive to the network. Maybe that doesn't work for you. I think the idea here is you're going to be more focusing on the Google experience. And if you're signing into Windows 10 with your G Suite account, then maybe we're running Drive file stream and we're mapping to Google Drive and shared drives and mounting that drive letter in Windows Explorer and doing our work as a student or a user in that way. And that may include, a plan to migrate stuff from legacy network shares up to shared drives and things like that. And your plan's going to get a lot larger here and involve a lot more. But I think that would probably be the focus there, in my opinion. I think that's it for questions. There's a lot more there in the chat, but hopefully we got some of them answered for you. Again, we're Amplified IT, and we can provide enterprise licensing to you. And there is a promotional pricing program that ends at the end of October. So if you're looking to get in on that before that ends, then reach out and give us a call. We can offer a lot of extra value adds here around helping you with the licensing. We've got training sessions. We've got onboarding. We've got a lot of webinars and other things, support from our team of Enterprise for Education specialists. And we can also obtain Google Voice licensing for you as well. That's something that a lot of schools are looking for still for teachers to be able to use in these times of remote learning. So that's it for me. Thanks to Devin at Google as well. The next session for us and for myself is going to be Thursday, where we'll go through recent changes to Enterprise for Education in Google Meet and what's coming up on the horizon and on the roadmap. So if you can join us for that one on Thursday, we would love to see you there. So thanks, everybody. Have a good day. Take care.